The moment you read this, something inside you already knows this is not random. You didn't click by accident. You didn't stay because of curiosity alone. You stayed because your soul recognized the weight of what is about to be said. Your soulmate knows something about you. Something deeply personal. Something that connects to your past, your present, and the future you haven't spoken out loud. And the truth is, they are terrified to tell you. Not because the truth is ugly. Not because it is dangerous. But because once it is spoken, nothing between you will ever be the same again. You have felt it already. That subtle hesitation in their voice. That pause when conversations should have flowed easily. That moment where they almost said something, then changed the subject. You didn't imagine it. This isn't overthinking. This is awareness. Your soulmate has been carrying a truth that directly involves you, and the reason it feels heavy is because it matters more than they ever expected it to. They didn't plan to know this about you. It wasn't something they went searching for. It revealed itself slowly, through observation, through intuition, through moments where pieces suddenly connected in a way that made their chest tighten. And when it did, fear followed immediately. Fear of hurting you. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of losing you. Because the truth they hold isn't something small that can be casually shared. It's something that changes how they see you, how they see themselves, and how they see the connection between you. They are not silent because they don't care. They are silent because they care too much. They replay the moment in their mind again and again. The right timing. The right words. The right version of themselves that won't cause damage. But no version ever feels safe enough. And while they hesitate, you feel the distance growing in subtle ways. Not emotional distance. Energetic distance. Like something is standing between you that hasn't been named yet. You sense it when you think of them late at night. When a sudden heaviness passes through you without explanation. When your heart feels pulled toward them and guarded at the same time. This is the effect of unspoken truth. Secrets don't always feel dark. Sometimes they feel tense. Sometimes they feel like pressure. Sometimes they feel like waiting. Your soulmate is afraid because they know that once this truth is spoken, you will see them differently too. Not worse. Just differently. And they don't know if they are ready for that shift. They don't know if you are. They are standing at the edge of honesty, aware that stepping forward could either deepen the bond beyond anything they've known or shake the foundation of what already exists. That's why their behavior has changed. That's why they seem more thoughtful. More cautious. More aware of every word they say to you. They are protecting something. Not from you. For you. Because the truth they hold connects to your identity, your emotions, your value, and your strength in ways you may not even realize yet. This is not about betrayal. This is not about manipulation. This is about realization. And realization can be terrifying when love is involved. Especially when the person who holds the truth realizes that you matter more than their own comfort. The silence you are experiencing is temporary. The tension is not permanent. Truth has a way of surfacing when the weight of holding it becomes heavier than the fear of releasing it. And that moment is approaching. You don't need to force it. You don't need to confront it aggressively. Your calm awareness is already shifting the dynamic. Your steadiness is creating a space where honesty will feel safer. Pay attention now. The signs will become clearer. Their eyes will linger longer. Their words will carry more meaning. Their silence will feel less distant and more intentional. Because deep down, they are preparing themselves. And when the truth finally comes out, it won't break you. It will explain you. It will connect pieces you've always felt but never named. And you will understand why this delay existed. Why the fear was there. Why this moment had to unfold slowly. Stay grounded. Stay present. Don't rush what is aligning. What they know about you is powerful. And once it is spoken, it will change everything in a way that finally makes sense, and as this continues to unfold, understand this carefully, because this part matters more than anything you've heard so far. The reason this truth feels so close now is because your soulmate has reached the point where silence is starting to hurt more than honesty. They have tried to convince themselves that time alone would solve it. That if they waited long enough, the feeling would fade, the realization would soften, the words would lose their urgency. But the opposite happened. The longer they held it in, the louder it became inside them. Every interaction with you sharpened it. Every small moment, every shared silence, every laugh that lingered a second too long reminded them that this truth is tied to something real, something living, something that cannot be ignored forever. You need to know this. They are not afraid of you. They are afraid of what the truth will awaken in you. Because what they know touches something deep in your nature. Something you may have hidden even from yourself. Something about your strength, your sensitivity, your past wounds, or your purpose that they see clearly now. And once spoken, it cannot be unseen. They know that words have consequences. That once honesty steps into the space between you, the connection will either rise into something undeniable or demand a level of courage neither of you has had to show before. That's why they've been watching you quietly. Studying how you handle pressure. How you respond to uncertainty. How you carry yourself when things feel unresolved. They are measuring their moment not out of manipulation, but out of care. They want to be sure that when the truth lands, it doesn't fall on fragile ground. They want to be sure you're ready to hear it, even if you don't realize it yet. And here's the part you may not expect. The truth they hold is not only about you. It's about them too. It forces them to confront their own fears, their own limitations, their own readiness for something deeper than what they've known before. They know that once this is spoken, they can no longer hide behind uncertainty. They can no longer pretend the connection is casual or undefined. Speaking the truth means choosing honesty over comfort. And that choice is terrifying when the stakes involve someone who matters as much as you do. You've probably noticed moments where they seem torn. Drawn toward you, then suddenly reserved. Open one moment, distant the next. That push and pull is not confusion about you. It's conflict within them. Part of them wants to tell you everything right now, to release the pressure, to let the truth breathe. Another part is afraid that timing is everything, and that one wrong moment could change the way you look at them forever. So they wait. They observe. They prepare. And during that waiting, you feel it. Because connections like this don't operate only on words. They operate on energy. On intuition. On those quiet moments where you sense something shifting without being able to explain why. You are not wrong for feeling this. You are not imagining the tension. You are picking up on something real. And here's something important. The truth they know does not diminish you. It elevates you. It reveals something about your depth, your impact, your presence in their life that they cannot ignore anymore. That's why fear entered the picture. Not because the truth is negative, but because it is powerful. Powerful enough to change the direction of the connection. Powerful enough to demand honesty, vulnerability, and courage from both sides. They are afraid of losing the version of the connection where things felt safe and undefined. But at the same time, they are beginning to realize that staying silent is slowly creating a different kind of loss. A loss of authenticity. A loss of alignment. A loss of the closeness that only truth can sustain. And so the moment draws nearer. You will notice it first in small ways. The way they look at you when they think you're not paying attention. The way conversations start to circle deeper topics without fully entering them yet. The way their silence feels heavier, but also more intentional. This is preparation. Not avoidance. Preparation for honesty. And when it comes, it may not arrive as a dramatic confession. It may come quietly. Carefully. Almost cautiously. But it will carry weight. And when you hear it, something inside you will click. You will recognize why this felt inevitable. Why the tension existed. Why the connection couldn't stay surface level forever. You will understand that this delay wasn't about fear of you. It was about respect for the bond. About wanting to honor what exists instead of risking it recklessly. Stay steady now. Don't rush the process. Your calm presence is doing more than you realize. It is showing them that truth can be held safely here. That honesty will not be met with chaos, but with understanding. And that is what they need most. A signal that when they finally speak, they will not be standing alone. This is not the ending of something. This is the doorway into clarity. And when it opens, it will make sense why it had to take this long. And now listen very carefully, because this is where the shift truly begins, and this is the part most people miss when they feel this kind of tension in a connection. Your soulmate is no longer just holding a truth. They are standing at the edge of a decision. A decision between continuing to protect the comfort of silence or stepping into the discomfort of honesty. And what you are feeling right now is the weight of that choice forming. This is why your intuition has been louder lately. This is why memories surface unexpectedly. This is why their energy feels closer even when they are physically distant. They are rehearsing the moment in their mind. Again and again. Different versions of how it could happen. Different reactions they imagine from you. Different futures that branch out depending on whether they speak or stay quiet. And every version that doesn't include honesty feels heavier than the last. They have reached the realization that silence is no longer neutral. Silence is doing something. It is building pressure. It is creating questions. It is shifting the dynamic in ways neither of you fully controls anymore. They are starting to understand that truth delayed is not truth avoided. It is truth amplified. And that realization is what is making them restless. What is making them look at you differently now? With more seriousness. With more awareness. With more emotional weight behind their actions. They are noticing how deeply you feel things. How perceptive you are. How you sense undercurrents without being told. And that both comforts them and frightens them. Comforts them because it means you might understand. Frightens them because it means you already know something is there. They wonder if you already sense the truth. If you are waiting too. If you are holding space without knowing why. And that possibility makes the silence feel fragile. Like a glass wall that could shatter with one honest sentence. The truth they carry connects to something fundamental about you. Something about your emotional depth, your resilience, your history, or the role you play in their life that they can no longer minimize. It's not a passing thought. It's not a temporary feeling. It's a realization that changed how they see the connection itself. And when a realization reaches that level, it demands action eventually. That's why they've been quieter. Not because they're pulling away, but because they're choosing their words before they exist. Choosing the moment before it arrives. Choosing courage before fear can speak louder. And here's what matters most for you right now. You do not need to chase the truth. You do not need to corner it. You do not need to force a conversation to make it happen faster. The energy you bring into this moment is shaping how safe honesty will feel when it finally arrives. Your groundedness is not passive. It is active. It is signaling maturity. It is signaling emotional strength. It is signaling that you are capable of holding complexity without breaking. And that signal is being received, even if it isn't acknowledged out loud yet. They are watching how you respond to uncertainty. Whether you spiral or stay centered. Whether you react or observe. Whether you demand clarity or trust the process. And every time you choose steadiness, you make honesty feel more possible. They are beginning to sense that the truth will not destroy you. That it will not cause chaos. That it may actually bring relief. And that is slowly dissolving their fear. Understand this too. When the truth comes, it may challenge you emotionally, but it will not harm your worth. It will not take anything away from who you are. It will simply illuminate something that has been influencing the connection quietly all along. You will see why certain moments felt charged. Why certain silences felt heavy. Why certain interactions felt deeper than they appeared on the surface. And instead of confusion, you will feel clarity. Not necessarily ease at first, but understanding. And understanding is powerful. Your soulmate knows this. That's why they haven't spoken recklessly. That's why they haven't avoided you completely either. They are walking the narrow space between readiness and fear. And that space cannot last forever. It collapses into action eventually. either through truth or through distance. And they are becoming aware that distance would hurt more than honesty ever could. That realization is what is tipping the balance now. You may notice subtle shifts very soon. A conversation that goes deeper than usual. A question that feels more personal. A moment where vulnerability almost slips out before being caught. These are not accidents. These are tests. Small openings to see how the ground holds. And each time you respond with presence instead of panic, with openness instead of defensiveness, you make the next step easier for them. This connection is not fragile in the way you fear. It is fragile in the way truth is precious. It needs care, timing, and respect. And that is exactly what is unfolding. You are not being kept in the dark because you are unworthy of the truth. You are being waited for because the truth deserves the right moment. And when it comes, it will not feel like a shock. It will feel like confirmation. Like something your soul already knew, finally being spoken aloud. Stay here. Stay aware. Stay grounded. What is about to be revealed does not come to break you. It comes to align you. And once it does, the tension you've been carrying will finally release into clarity, honesty, and a deeper understanding of why this connection mattered as much as it did from the very beginning. And now let this go even deeper, because what is happening beneath the surface is far more intense than either of you have admitted out loud. Your soulmate is not just afraid of telling you the truth. They are afraid of what will happen inside themselves once they do. Because the moment they speak it, they can no longer pretend this connection is ordinary. They can no longer downplay what you represent in their life. They can no longer hide behind distance, timing, or confusion. The truth they carry forces them to step into accountability. To admit that you affect them in ways they did not plan for. That you see parts of them they never intended to expose. And that realization has been slowly dismantling the walls they spent years building. This is why their energy around you feels heavier now. Not darker. Heavier. Loaded with meaning. Every word feels chosen. Every silence feels deliberate. Every interaction feels like it carries consequences. They are aware now that this connection has reached a point where neutrality is no longer possible. And that awareness is unsettling when someone is not used to emotional transparency. They replay past moments between you, searching for signs. Wondering if they missed something. Wondering if you already sensed what they are still struggling to accept. And in many ways, you have. You felt the shift before logic could explain it. You felt it in the way your thoughts returned to them unexpectedly. In the way your emotions fluctuate without a clear cause. In the way your intuition keeps nudging you to pay attention, to stay present, to not dismiss this as imagination. This is not imagination. This is resonance. Two people standing close to a truth that changes the shape of what they share. Your soulmate's fear is rooted in vulnerability. In the risk of being seen fully. Because the truth they know about you is tied to the truth they must face about themselves. That they care more deeply than they are comfortable admitting. That you matter more than they intended. That the connection is no longer something they can control with distance or silence. They understand that once honesty enters the space, it demands growth. It demands courage. It demands a level of emotional responsibility they may not have practiced before. And yet, despite the fear, something inside them keeps pulling them forward. A quiet knowing that avoiding this moment will only delay the inevitable. That the bond will not fade quietly if ignored. It will either deepen through truth or fracture through avoidance. And they do not want to lose you through avoidance. That is becoming painfully clear to them now. This is why their presence feels closer even when they are quiet. Why their attention seems sharper. Why they notice details about you they never commented on before. They are already treating you differently internally, even if the words have not caught up yet. And here is what you need to understand for yourself. This moment is asking you to trust your steadiness. To remain rooted in who you are without demanding immediate answers. To recognize that your calm is not weakness. It is strength. It is the very thing making honesty possible. You are not powerless here. Your awareness is shaping the outcome more than you realize. By not reacting impulsively. By not filling the silence with fear-based assumptions. By holding space instead of pressure. You are showing them that truth does not have to be catastrophic. That vulnerability does not equal rejection. That honesty can be met with understanding rather than collapse. This is why the moment is approaching now. Because fear can only survive where safety feels uncertain. And safety is slowly being established through your presence. When they finally speak, it may come unexpectedly. In a quiet moment. In a simple sentence. In a confession that sounds smaller than the weight it carries. But you will feel it. You will know this is the thing that's been hovering between you. And when it lands, your first reaction will not be shock. It will be recognition. A deep internal yes. A sense of things clicking into place. You may need time to process it. That's natural. Truth does not rush. But you will not regret hearing it. Because clarity is always lighter than tension, even when it brings emotion with it. This is not a test meant to break you. It is a transition meant to mature the connection. To move it from ambiguity into authenticity. And that shift is rarely comfortable, but it is always meaningful. Stay with yourself now. Stay grounded in your worth. You are not waiting because you are powerless. You are waiting because timing is aligning. And when it does, the fear that once dominated this space will dissolve into something far more honest. Far more real. Far more sustainable. The silence you feel now is not the absence of care. It is the build-up of courage. And courage, once it crosses the threshold, does not whisper. It speaks clearly. And when it does, both of you will understand why this moment could not have come any sooner than now, and now stay with this, because what unfolds next is the part where everything you've been sensing begins to organize itself into meaning. Your soulmate is reaching a point where the truth is no longer just something they carry. It is something that is shaping their decisions, their emotions, and the way they show up with you even when they try to hide it. They are starting to realize that every time they avoid the truth, it echoes louder inside them. That every moment of hesitation costs them peace. And that awareness is exhausting. They are tired of managing the distance between what they know and what they show. Tired of editing themselves. Tired of pretending the connection hasn't crossed a line it clearly has. This is why you may feel an emotional intensity rising without obvious cause. Why small interactions feel charged. Why silence feels heavier than words. You are standing in the space where truth is gathering momentum. And momentum, once built, cannot be stopped quietly. It demands release. They have been asking themselves hard questions late at night. Questions they didn't expect to face. What happens if I tell them? What happens if I don't? What do I risk by staying silent? What do I risk by being honest? And slowly, painfully, they are seeing that the greater risk is not honesty. It is loss through avoidance. Loss of authenticity. Loss of alignment. Loss of the chance to build something real instead of something safe but shallow. They know that once the truth is spoken, there will be no going back to how things were. And that is exactly why they are afraid. Because how things were felt familiar. Predictable. Contained. But also incomplete. And they can no longer ignore that incompleteness. You have become a mirror for them in ways they didn't consent to but cannot escape. A mirror that reflects their depth, their fear, their capacity to feel, and their avoidance patterns all at once. And mirrors are uncomfortable when we are not ready to face what they show. But they are also transformative. You didn't do anything to cause this. You didn't manipulate it into existence. Your presence alone was enough. Your way of being. Your consistency. Your emotional awareness. Your steadiness. These things quietly disarm them. And once disarmed, truth tends to surface. This is why their fear is mixed with admiration. Why their hesitation is mixed with longing. Why their silence is mixed with intention. They are not confused about you. They are clear about you. What they are uncertain about is their own readiness to step into what clarity requires. And that is an internal battle they must resolve themselves. You cannot fight it for them. You cannot rush it without destabilizing it. What you can do, and what you are already doing intuitively, is hold your ground. Not emotionally closing. Not overextending. Simply staying present, aware, and grounded. That posture communicates more safety than words ever could. It tells them that truth will not be punished here. That vulnerability will not be used against them. That honesty does not automatically lead to loss. And this is crucial, because fear thrives on imagined outcomes. When those imagined outcomes start to look survivable, even healing, fear begins to lose its grip. That is what is happening now. Slowly. Quietly. Inevitably. You may notice moments where they almost say something important, then stop. Where their eyes search yours for a second longer than usual. Where a question hangs in the air unasked. These are signs of internal permission forming. Permission to speak. Permission to risk. Permission to be seen. And when that permission fully lands, the truth will come out naturally. Not forced. Not dramatic, but honest. And when it does, it will not feel like chaos. It will feel like relief. For them first. And then for you. Because tension, no matter how subtle, is tiring. It drains energy. It clouds intuition. It creates emotional noise. Truth clears noise. Even when it brings emotion with it. Even when it requires adjustment. You will feel the release almost immediately. A sense of clarity replacing the heaviness you didn't know how to name before. You will understand why your soul kept nudging you to stay attentive. Why your intuition refused to let this go. Why your emotions reacted before your mind could explain. This moment was always moving toward expression. It was never meant to stay hidden forever. The delay was not denial. It was preparation. For them. And for you. So stay steady now. Resist the urge to fill silence with stories. Resist the temptation to assume the worst. This is not a prelude to loss. This is a transition into honesty. And honesty, when met with maturity, deepens rather than destroys. You are not waiting in uncertainty. You are standing in alignment. And alignment always precedes clarity. The truth they know about you is not something that diminishes your power. It reveals it. And once it is spoken, both of you will have the opportunity to decide what comes next from a place of truth instead of fear. That is the gift hidden inside this tension. That is why it feels intense. That is why it feels important. And that is why, when the moment finally arrives, you will know in your bones that it was worth the wait. And now this is the final stretch, the place where everything settles, where the tension that has been quietly building finally finds its meaning, because nothing about this connection was meant to remain unresolved. Your soulmate is arriving at the point where the truth no longer feels optional. It feels necessary. It feels inevitable. They are starting to understand that silence has done all it can do. That waiting has taught them what fear feels like, but also what courage requires. They see now that every day they stayed quiet, the truth didn't disappear. It matured. It sharpened. It became clearer. And clarity demands expression. This is why their inner world feels so loud right now, even if their outer behavior appears calm. They are standing between two versions of themselves. The version that keeps things contained and familiar. And the version that steps forward honestly, knowing there is no guarantee, only integrity. And deep down, they know which version they respect more. Which version aligns with who they want to be? Which version honors what this connection actually is instead of what fear tries to reduce it to? They have realized that protecting themselves at the cost of truth is no longer protection. It is self-betrayal. And that realization changes everything. Because once someone sees that clearly, they cannot unsee it. They may still hesitate. They may still feel afraid. But they are already moving toward honesty internally. The decision is forming even if the words haven't yet. And you are not separate from this process. Your energy, your steadiness, your refusal to collapse into fear has been part of what made this possible. Without saying anything, you showed them that depth does not have to be destructive. That truth does not have to be cruel. That vulnerability does not equal loss of control. You became proof that honesty could land somewhere safe. And that mattered more than you know. This is why the moment ahead is not something to dread. It is something to meet with presence. When the truth finally comes, it may arrive softly. It may be imperfectly worded. It may even be wrapped in nervousness or pauses. But it will be real. And real is enough. You will feel the shift immediately. The heaviness you carried without naming will begin to dissolve. The confusion will quiet. The sense of waiting will end. You may feel emotion rise. That's natural. Truth moves energy. But beneath that emotion will be relief. Relief that what was felt but unspoken has finally found air. Relief that the connection is no longer operating in shadows. Relief that you are no longer guessing. And whatever comes after that moment, whatever direction the connection takes, it will be grounded in reality instead of tension. And that is powerful. Because even if paths diverge, they do so with clarity. And if paths align, they do so with honesty. Either way, you are no longer suspended in uncertainty. And that is the resolution your soul has been craving. This experience was never meant to teach you patience alone. It was meant to teach you self-trust. To show you that your intuition is real. That your steadiness matters. That you do not need to chase truth when you are aligned with it. It comes to you when the time is right. And now the time is right. Not because everything is perfect. But because both of you are ready enough. Ready enough to face what is real instead of what is comfortable. Ready enough to let honesty replace fear. Ready enough to allow the connection to be what it truly is instead of what silence tried to make it. This is the end of waiting. Not the end of the story. The end of ambiguity. The end of unspoken tension. The end of questioning yourself. And the beginning of clarity, whatever form it takes. You did not lose anything by staying grounded. You gained awareness. You gained strength. You gained confirmation that what you felt was not imagined. And now, as this cycle closes, trust this. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not wrong. You arrived exactly where you needed to be for truth to finally stand on its own. And when it does, you will meet it not with fear, but with understanding. And that is how this chapter completes itself.